I'm Ayshcharya, known as Solar Killer in the virtual realms, as he said, mainly on Instagram though. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about visual communication and content creation, but please note that in no way am I a professional. This is just my personal views and what I've learned in my personal experience. So Solar Killer basically started in 2015, but before that I was never really interested in photography. I had no idea how to use a camera or anything, and just my phone maybe, but even at that point I don't think smartphones really existed. So in 2011 I went on a family trip with my uncle and a couple of my relatives, and we were really bored. It was Anuradhapura. And I picked up his DSLR. It was on manual mode and just started shooting basically. And the shots, one shot, this is not it, this was taken this year. This is my first shot from DSLR. And they thought it was great. I had no experience at that point, so I didn't know what to compare it with, right? So then at the end of 2015, I started my Instagram account. It was first Facebook, but I was never really interested in Facebook as much. And then I switched on to Instagram because that was the thing to do. Everyone was doing that at that point. And right now I have 7,500 followers almost, compared to my Facebook page, which only has 650 likes. And my point there is that it just goes to show how much effort you put into whatever platform, that you can really see the results from that. I don't put any effort into my Facebook page. I just repost whatever is on Instagram onto the Facebook page, and you can see the result of that. Right, but Instagram, I'm really obsessed with Instagram. I'm so OCD with it. This isn't a very clear image, but you can see, actually if you have your phones with you, I came in here and I noticed almost every one of you on your phones. If you have an Instagram account, you can go on and check Solar Killer. Just like notice the things, like is it the color, is it the contrast, how I'm posting, what times I'm posting. If you look into things like that, you will notice that I will never post two similar colors next to each other. This is just the thought process behind how I post. And if you can see the picture, of course sometimes I get stuck. I mean, I don't have a lot of content these days, but if you see the picture with the 2 feet, in my opinion, that is way too close to the picture, the second one, of the silhouette with the yellow background and the bicycle picture, that the tones are too similar, right? And my point here is that you need to put your effort into what you're posting. The content needs to be of value to you. If it doesn't, if you're not obsessed with your work, why would anyone care about what you're posting? Which is exactly what happened to my Facebook page. Nobody cares about it because I only reshare whatever is on Instagram. So then I used to also do this grid. My talk is mainly for Instagrammers. I'm guessing the others might not be as interested and understand. But I used to do this grid, and it was the thought process behind that was to get the people who see 6 posts on their feed to come and check out my feed, right? But then I realized that individually, they don't get many likes. They'll get 40, 50 likes as opposed to my other posts, individual posts. So I stopped doing that temporarily. Another factor is that if you have a business account on Instagram, you can check the analytics, right? And my account has 62% men and 38% women. So based on this, you can target your posts. I know which ages they are and even which countries they're from and when they're most active. So you need to create your content around your audience. Majority of it, 90% of your post should be, I mean, you should like it. But the other 10%, you need to think about who your audience is, why they're following you, and give them a reason to follow you. So I know that I have majority Sri Lankans following me, but I have India and the United Kingdom as well, and I'll tell you why that's important a little bit later. When it comes to content creation, and in photography in general, there are basic rules, which is the rule of thirds. And if you can see by this picture, the fishermen are strategically located in that one cross section. So in photography, it's a basic rule where you focus, your main object should be on one of those 4 points, And if you have a picture of the ocean or any straight lines going in your picture, it has to be straight. And that can be done on the Instagram settings itself. You don't need Lightroom or Photoshop. I mean, I have that. It's difficult to use sometimes, but you don't always need it. You can just use Instagram tools. Now tell me, which picture is more appealing to you? They're both the same, just different sizes. And I posted this yesterday. It's the one on the right. Instagram has an algorithm that I don't really know how to explain properly, but the portrait sized pictures, they get pushed up more rather than the landscape pictures. The original picture I took was actually landscape, but I edited it to add more sky on top, right? Because I knew that Instagram would push these pictures up on your feed rather than the landscape shots. And what you need is for your picture to be on top of everyone's feed, apart from the other pictures that are, I mean, if someone's following me, I know that they're following other travel photographers as well, right? And I need my picture to be on top. So you can use apps like Later, it was known as Latergram, Snapseed and Visco. These are the easiest apps to use. I don't always use these because, well, except for Snapseed maybe sometimes, but I use my Instagram tools because it's really simple and it gets the job done. I mean, I don't need all of this to edit my pictures. Okay, so that's just the technical side of editing your pictures. But when you're taking a photograph, like this one for example, you need to think about the story behind your picture. What is the story? I mean, is it the four guys here? Is it the story that you're trying to say, like how you travel to that location? It can be any story. In this picture was actually taken at 6 in the morning on a Sunday. PETA is dead on Sundays, everyone knows that. But you need to make the people who are seeing your picture want to be there, want to understand why you were there at that time. PETA has no one there at 6 in the morning, but you can get the best shots at that time, right? Because the people are still working there, they're more relaxed, and they'll let you take pictures of them like this rather than being stressed out. Another story behind this picture, this is one of my favorite shots, and it seemed to be a crowd favorite too. And I assumed that it's because you feel like you're in there, right? You feel like you're traveling in Singharaja forest. And you can gauge that by the comments on your pictures. And if you want to really push your pictures up, you have to use hashtags and location tags. Hashtags, Instagram has a competition every weekend where if you take a picture during the weekend, you can use that tag and then you can get picked and it'll be posted on Instagram. I mean, getting featured on Instagram is a big deal. Using hashtags is really important right now, especially because tourism in Sri Lanka is booming. So if you hashtag Singharaja Forest, you know for sure that there are thousands of tourists checking these hashtags, and they will indeed follow you because they need to know where to go when they come to Sri Lanka. The same goes with this picture actually. Location tags is also another important feature. I'm pretty sure majority of you go to Instagram, check places to see what the pictures are of the location. That's the most accurate way now to find out what the actual scenario is like in a place. If I just went to Arugambe recently, that's what I checked. I checked Whiskey Point, I checked Peanut Farm, everything on Instagram to find out what the lay of the land is like, what times to shoot, what other shots other people have gotten. If you don't do your research, then you're not going to end up getting the really good shots. Sri Lanka has 21.2 million people, right? And 2 million arrivals, over 2 million arrivals. It has increased. This is statistics from last year. Majority of them are from Asia and Western Europe. And we have Indians, the Chinese, and they're the majority, and the UK. They come in third, is the majority to enter into Sri Lanka. Which is why if you're taking pictures and you're posting it, this is not just for travel photographers, even if it's a brand, and you're targeting particular consumers, if you know in the tourism industry, you know that the British are the third most popular people to visit Sri Lanka, then you need to post pictures of more beaches, more of Alla and all the historical sites, not really shopping. Shopping would be the Indians and the Chinese, in my opinion. I know they travel too, but I see them a lot at Odell, right? So you need to know what your statistics are, what the country's statistics are, in order to post your Instagram. This is only if you want to reach a high audience on Instagram. So all in all, I think Instagram, even though people think of it just on the surface, you know, you can't use it much, you actually can. Your businesses can thrive. I mean, social media it's free to a certain extent, especially if you have the talent to take pictures. If your brand has an account on Instagram, you can get a large audience. And the good thing with that is that you have a database of followers who you can remarket to. You don't have to keep finding followers. They just come to you if your content is good, right? So I feel like if you see pictures like this and you're marketing tea in Sri Lanka, or you're marketing tourism or your travel photography, then you can get a good following, because this tells a story and it's also technically accurate in photography. Yes, so that is about it. If you have any questions, you can let me know.